audacious. Phoenix talks manifest in the dream. Got a growing channel, YouTube's where the wisdom resides. For all the nest members, no truth can ever hide. She's an under detective on the digital beat, questioning the unthinkable, bringing fire to the heat. With a mind so advanced, highly intelligent and bold, part of the hive mind with birdie stories to unfold. Common sense is a superpower, cutting through the noise, unlocking closed minds, amplifying all our voices.
Phoenix, Phoenix, what do you see? Unlocking knowledge for you and me. The nest is rising strong and true, sharing wisdom, me and you. Clap, clap, clap for the truth we seek. Every answer, week by week. Phoenix, Phoenix, what do you see? Unlocking knowledge.
Yeah, Phoenix, what do you see? That's the question I've got a lot lately. What do I see? I see a lot. And, I'm no expert, but welcome in on this Sunday early morning. Gosh, it is already August the 3rd. Welcome in, welcome in. Get in here to the nest, y'all little nesters. It's amazing what you do see. It's amazing when you have the ability to decipher what mainstream media is telling us, what local law enforcement is telling you. You know, I always question the unthinkable because a lot of people don't want to go there in their minds. But what if there was more to this story with the Fry guy versus the Fall guy? And I'm talking specifically about Chief Fry, Moscow PD versus Bryan Kohberger. So I hope you guys, you ladies, you gents in the nest today are having an amazing day. Drop below. Glad to see you here. Let's chit chat. Let's talk about this. Let me put that beautiful bird down for a minute because I've got some stuff for you today. How do y'all feel about the evidence that you're seeing? Drop some comments below. Have you been looking at the evidence that I made very simple for you to find? If you're new to my channel and you don't know, I'm just looking at all the facts, all the records, all the details, and, I have my own conclusions. You can have yours. And this is a safe space to respect everyone's conclusions because it is your own thought process. You don't have to believe everything you hear and see. We have a God-given instinct within us. When something doesn't sound right, it may not be right. So let's talk about this. But before we begin, I have a really short shout out to some of the amazing people that have joined me over here on the YT from the TT. And I will say, I love to wake up to messages like this. If you guys haven't seen my amazing sideline intro, that's what I'm going to call it, because I'm going to play it when we go on a live dig. But this message comes from you-know-who. I'm not sharing their name. And they sent me a message on TikTok. I woke up to it. I just crept your page to an unusual extent after getting way too carried away with this case and going down the rabbit hole. I will have an audio sound quickly of a rabbit hole. So when we dig, we dig. And amazingly enough, you couldn't convince me that he did it. All these people are like, oh, pure evil in his eyes. Yeah, like, okay, maybe, and this is what I said before, maybe just a lifetime of sadness. People are just so quick to talk shit. None of this case makes sense to me at all, and totally agree with everything you're saying and thinking. Don't you know? Don't we all know? If you've got that feeling, type a 1, because you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe what we believe. And I'm not telling you to believe everybody or everything. I mean, go for it. Question what I'm saying. Question the narrative. Question everybody until you come to the conclusion that best makes sense for you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what anybody else thinks, it's about what you believe and what you think. And when we all get to that conclusion, we respect one another's thoughts. That's what it is to be a human being. And I don't lack empathy like some people are trying to tell you. I don't lack common sense. There's a narrative being pushed still, and it's falling apart on a daily basis. I have people send me videos of other creators. I'm not going to lie. I don't have time to creep. I'm over here making real content to show you factual information. If I had time to creep, boy, I would be spending more time doing the things that I love the most, and that's time with my family. A lot of you people have asked questions about me. Who's Phoenix? Tell me more about Phoenix. I'll tell you more about Phoenix in another live, because I get these questions all the time. No, we are not. We do not, and we will not start a trust without permission and the attorney that will take Bryan Kohberger's appeal process PCR. Now, if that does happen, there will be a legal trust fund. There's none of this fake GoFundMe crap. Okay? I want to be very clear. We do things right around here, and we do them right for many reasons. So if you think about what we're doing and why we're doing it, this is an innocent man, factually innocent. The state knows this. The defense knows this. But they're all walking around pointing fingers so they don't allegedly arrest the people who actually did this. So we're here to talk about the fry guy versus the fall guy. Okay, so, I mean, drop a comment below. I really want to hear what you guys are thinking. Drop a comment if you think that Bryan Kohberger is the fall guy. Drop a comment. Good afternoon. I see the chat. I'm focused on the chat. I actually have 2 more videos that I'm going to put out later on today. They are pre-recorded. Hopefully you will enjoy them. Definitely the fall guy. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of ones. I'm seeing that, guys. So, do you think that in America today, corruption happens? Would you have thought about that, say, 50 years ago? 60 years ago? 20 years ago? Has it been ongoing? Is this something new that we've just discovered? Maybe in the last 10, 15 years? Well, here's my take on it. In small rural towns, I believe the good old boy system does live strong. And what do I mean by the good old boy system? Well, it's in our human nature to have friends, right? It's in our human nature where we live and where we work and our neighbors and our families. Yeah, we have friends. And some of those friends go to college, some of those friends start businesses, some people work for those businesses. But what about those who kind of work and influence a congregation or a town that holds certain responsibilities and duties and authority? And what if I told you that the good old boy system is you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours? Does that exist? Well, perhaps, perhaps. But I want to just take a minute to watch this video with you because, Chief James Fry announced his retirement and his plans to run for sheriff. Because if you jump out of one career and you hold that position for a long time, there's not many places to go from there. So all this is alleged. Everything I share is public information. But what I want you to know is for you to put your mind to work. Let's watch this video quickly from an interview that I found. Did you know, and this is just a side question to see what the chat is up to. Did you know that Chief Fry never went to the crime scene? I saw a video yesterday where he says, I never went to the crime scene. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Did I just not hear that correct? I had to play the video a couple of times. I'll put it on my TikTok and I'll bring the video on over to YouTube. But let's watch this video real quick. This is James Fry. Let me add this. Let me take this down real quick.
Killer Bryan Kohberger gets underway. Well, his murders happened on his watch in November of in the search for quadruple killer in Moscow, Idaho. Police Chief James Fry, center of attention during that search, announcing he is stepping down. Good evening. Great to be back with you tonight. I'm Sean Owsley. Chief Fry announcing he's stepping down in May, which will be before the trial against accused quadruple killer Bryan Kohberger gets underway. Well, his murders happened on his watch in November of 2022, certainly overshadowed the twilight of his tenure as chief. But his service to the city of Moscow goes back nearly 30 years. He was reserve officer with the department in 1993, then became a patrol officer in 2005, and finally the chief in 2016. Of course, in recent years, Fry thrust into the national spotlight as his department headed the search for the person who killed 4 University of Idaho students in an off-campus apartment in Moscow. That search ultimately led cross-country to Bryan Kohberger, arrested 6 weeks after the murders took place at his parents' home in the state of Pennsylvania. 360 coverage tonight with Nonstop Local's John Webb, who sat down with Chief Fry today for the chief's first broadcast television interview since Bryan Kohberger's arrest. John.
Yeah, good evening, Sean. A nearly 29-year career here in Moscow is coming to an end for Moscow Police Chief James Fry. Today, I talked to him one-on-one about everything from Bryan Kohberger to some career highlights to what comes next for Chief Fry. I started the interview by asking him, why now?
I just think it's time. You reach that point where you've been in law enforcement for a long time and you've accomplished a lot of the things you want to accomplish. And, last year was a long year, and I think it's just time to move on to something new and maybe, re-energize myself with something new.
Any plans of what comes next in the future?
Well, I think, I announced this morning on the radio that I'm putting my name in for sheriff. So we'll see how that goes. And, I'll talk to you at a future point on that.
Okay. We'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
What's been some of the highlights here over the past nearly 29 years, Moscow Police Department? Is there anything that comes to mind that you go, wow, that was just a great time?
we've had a great relationship with the university, a great relationship with the community. You went to school here. You got to probably interact with us a little bit at times, and we always enjoy those times, working the football games and just the spirit of what's going on. And over the last couple of years, we've got a drug dog, and we've got body cameras and just equipment for the officers. That new facility, incredible new facility.
Your message to your community tonight, the constituents that you serve.
Thank you. It's been an honor. It's tough. A lot of stuff, a lot of good. And they are a great community. And they're worthy of being served by the best police department around. And we're trying to do that every day. And but they have been there for us, and it's appreciated more than they will ever know.
You'll miss it.
Yeah, I think everybody that gets out of law enforcement says they miss the camaraderie, they miss the everything from the hot call to the fun little call. Sure, I'll miss it, but it's time, and it's time to move to something new.
Oh, was there ever a particular case that you went home, you took that home with you, at night, maybe kept you up from sleeping?
Well, definitely 2007 when we had our officer killed in the line of duty. You don't come back from something like that the same. When you're there, I was actually the head of the SWAT team at that time. So those moments like that really do. And then just some of the horrific events that have happened, from the homicides to some of the just bad crashes or people being injured and hurt bad. Those things always affect us a little bit, I think, and some more than others. But yeah, definitely.
Notice how he did not mention the overdoses. He didn't mention the college students' unalivings, murders, nothing. Didn't mention anything about well, let's watch a little more. Shoot, where was I? Dang, I hate when that happens. Where were we? Think about right there.
That you serve.
Thank you. It's been an honor. It's tough. A lot of stuff, a lot of good. And they are a great community. And they're worthy of being served by the best police department around. And we're trying to do that every day. And but they have been there for us, and it's appreciated more than they will ever know.
You'll miss it.
Yeah, I think everybody that gets out of law enforcement says they miss the camaraderie, they miss the everything from the hot call to the fun little call. Sure, I'll miss it, but it's time, and it's time to move to something new.
Oh, was there ever a particular case that you went home, you took that home with you, at night, maybe kept you up from sleeping?
Well, definitely 2007 when we had our officer killed in the line of duty. You don't come back from something like that the same. When you're there, I was actually the head of the SWAT team at that time. So those moments like that really do. And then just some of the horrific events that have happened, from the homicides to some of the just bad crashes or people being injured and hurt bad. Those things always affect us a little bit, I think, and some more than others. But yeah, definitely some of those you take home, and I'll never forget them. You don't get to just forget what you've seen and what you've been a part of.
You were talking about the first press conference when you came out here, and I've interviewed you so many times in the past, and you're just such a happy guy and stuff. But I mean, I visibly saw the emotion in you that day. What was going through your mind in that moment?
But you're a little bit in shock, I think, just like everybody else. I think I made the statement. I have 3 daughters and I have a son, same age group, pretty much. So I think it affects you. You can't just shut that stuff off. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm a dad today and I'm a cop tomorrow." You're both, and I think a lot of law enforcement can relate to that. And there's a lot of stress. When national press hits, it's a different ball game.
You know, if there's one thing that you could look back on and say, that was my legacy, what would it be?
You know, I don't know. I guess I don't look at it that way. The way I look at it is I hope I served them as well as they served me. And I hope in the end, people go, you know, he did his job and he did it well.
All right, so there you have that interview with Chief Fry. So, what do you? Oh, interesting that they had that next video up there. That's a little odd. So what did y'all think about that little video about Chief Fry leaving? Did it look to you like he was maybe asked to leave, allegedly, perhaps, or was it just time for him to get out of power in that area? Because you do know he did move, I believe, over to another police department. Was that in Washington? I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. That's not what I'm saying. To me, humbly, in my opinion, it looks like he's a guy that loves the area he's in. He served the area he's in, but things got really tight and shady. And when you get stuck like that between a rock and a hard place, sometimes you have to make decisions because other people are in authority above you. This guy seems to me like he was not, in my humble opinion, in charge. Seems like one of those that personally was trying to protect the income in that town. And what income is that? The University of Idaho. Because if you think about it, I mean, really think about it. Some of these kids' parents were so wealthy, they send them off to college, and those kids are spending money on other things. I mean, obviously, we've seen plenty of videos for you that have been here, an OG following this case. There's been plenty of videos. You know, everyone says, oh, that's normal for college people to drink underage and party. And okay, I get that. You know, I'm ex military. I agree. I've seen it in the military, in dorms, parties. You know, I get it. But there was more to the story. There was more going on campus that they don't want you to see, that we're seeing a little bit more of it. Just a little more of it. And if you're in the chat arguing, you know, I have everybody in here to respect everyone's opinions. But if you're being disrespectful, I will remove you. I don't have a problem having you see your way out. And as always, I'll say be well. But you know, we're all in here free thinkers, contrarian thinkers, and we're looking at this from a different perspective because you could look at that in any case, there's the truth, there's nothing but the truth, then there's his side, her side, and then the truth. So you got to look at this from every single angle and every single perspective. What in the world was going on at the university? I found 11 plus lawsuits against the university in just a short amount of time. So if Chief Fry is the main guy that's supposed to protect and serve this area, did they protect and serve? Did they protect and serve? And that's something that we'll talk about because the Fry guy versus the Fall guy, Chief Fry, Moscow PD versus Bryan Kohberger. This caption, well, obviously, it's going to trigger a little bit of curiosity, drama, and the ability to share it. In one corner, you have Chief Fry, face of the law in small town Idaho. In the other, Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of one of the most chilling college murders in history. But what if the story, like I said, isn't that simple as killer versus cop? What if one of them is the fall guy? What if both of them are the fall guys? You know, James Fry wasn't just any chief. He's the cop suddenly thrusted into the national spotlight. And you hear him take accountability. Sorry, guys, it's my fault. We didn't share this, right when it happens. We waited 4 days. That's my fault. But when you start looking at it, you have to question, why were the body cameras turned off at a certain time when undercover civilian clothes officers are patrolling the area for intoxication and underage drinking? Did it so happen that these students were very aware and adapt to these undercover officers patrolling their area between, 2, 3 a.m.? Did they know that? Did they know their routines? Did they watch their routines? Was this planned? Were these unalivings planned on his watch? Perhaps, allegedly. So, Chief Fry, he's the man of authority. Why were the timelines? Why did they keep changing? Why does the body cam say one thing? Church bells in the area say another thing. Things don't line up very well. And what about the key details like phone pings, the sheath DNA leaked to the public before any trial? What's with those? What about the video that we watched where their uniformed officers walk up to the house and they immediately say, are they saying who works here or who lives here? Were the noise complaints justified? In the police report, it clearly says that, the neighbors are the ones that are complaining, but it gave the police every opportunity to go see what was going on in that house. Was there more? And remember, the neighbor had just moved in 2021. They bought that house, they moved in. Fry told us to trust the process, but what and whose process was it really? So here we have Bryan Kohberger entered on their radar December. Oh gosh, hold on a minute. I've got my file up. The first warrant that came back with his name was in the supplement reports. Remember, www.justice4, FOUR.com. And under Bryan Kohberger, there is a little excerpt, and then you can download the Moscow Police Department PDF searchable timeline. And let's just find out when Bryan Kohberger first got on their radar. It was a report that was in, his name is mentioned 359 times in this report. But the one report is where they figured out he had searched for the unalivings. And in that search, they began looking for anything that they could find. Was this tunnel vision? Is this something that was overlooked, that they didn't look at anyone else? I mean, after all, guys, was it his car on video on Dateline? Was it his knife sheath? Was it even something that was done allegedly? Everyone started calling in 400 tips. 400 tips saying, oh God, it's Kohberger. It's got to be Kohberger. He's so creepy. I mean, even somebody in his high school went on TikTok and was like, oh yeah, he's creepy. He's creepy. That's definitely him. And maybe it's really not. This is just one of those things that you have to really think, when was it that he was actually identified? And why did they go and search for him specifically? Because we've all heard that this tip has come from the FBI, correct? That's what we were led to believe, that this came from the FBI. But was it the ISP, or was it just simple good police work? Because I often wonder, where did they come up with his name? And I believe it was the date of the Google warrant that came back. And let me share this with you. The Google warrant came back, and it had advised of who searched for the content containing the Idaho unalivings. And in these unalivings, they searched for, they wanted to make sure who could fit their narrative. And what better way to fit their narrative than to say, oh, we've got a guy right in the area that's studying criminology. And by the way, he actually searched for the unalivings. Well, if you study crime, of course you're going to search. Damn, where did this document go? I had it already, and I went back to look at something else to check my notes, and bam, I must have clicked off of it. Let me find it. This was a little tidbit of information that I found interesting the other day. That, yeah, they didn't find him until they searched Google, and there was only one name that they were looking at besides. So, who gave them Bryan Kohberger's name? How did they find it? Dang it. I hate when that happens. Well, you guys, you'll have to search that for yourself. It was on November 28th or 26th when MPD told WSPUD to keep an eye out for the Elantra. Was it purposely fed to them? Let me look at my guide, and I've got that guide almost done for you. I should have referenced that first. So in a Google search on warrants, U of I, I'll upload that later on today. Funny. Warrants was on December 19th, I believe. I don't know why that's ringing a bell for me. I think it was December 19th. Let me look and see real quick, because I want to show you the document. I like to show and tell. Let me see if I can find it real quick. December 19th. The grant was for data related to the email address of gmail.com. Googled forensic lab. The warrant returning the affidavit was sent to, that was on the 19th. Here it is. Okay, let me share this real quick for you so you can actually see this document, because I think it's really important for you to be able to see it. If I had a projector, that would be awesome, but I don't right now. Okay, so hopefully you can see this document right up on the screen. Let me make sure. Yep, you got it. So, hold on a minute. When you look at this document, and this is from the searchable on the website, you can see that it says approximately, let me see who wrote this. Hold on a minute. Let me see who wrote this. This was on 2/22/23 by Lawrence Mowry. And there is no Detailed list of evidence. It's supplement 153. Let me look at my notes on 153. So we should have an interactive one today. 153. 153 in my notes. Warrant Google. Oh, yes, for the King girls and King girls. And this is where they mention LM. And you know what? I'm going to have another video up. Should I do a live about who LM may be, allegedly? Would you guys want me to do a live on that, or do you want me to hold off and do a pre-recorded video? The mysterious LM. I found out who that is. And I found out who the mysterious GB is. Always go live. Okay. I like pre-recorded videos, but sometimes live puts you on the spot. So if I don't have everything lined up, I will make sure I do. So 153 is the warrant from Google on King girls. LM was identified on suspect. Oh, BK was identified as a suspect. Okay, so when we look at LM, I've got 3 different possible names for LM, guys. LM is a male, but I'll do a live on that. So when you look at the search terms of Google search, on November 26, 2022, I applied for and was granted a warrant to serve on Google for the information on the account searching the following search items from August 1st, 2022 to November 13th, 2022. So they ask for 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. They also say 1122 King Road, King girls with the Z. And how would you even know to ask King girls with a Z, with an S and a Z? How would they know to specifically ask for that if they did not have a name or anything associated with that? So the documents that were released to the public are only half of it. If it's somebody's birthday, happy freaking birthday out there. Whoop whoop, it's my birthday too. No, I'm just kidding. How would they even know to search? These were not all, oh, inside your bones. Me, I do. Happy birthday to us. Yes, happy birthday, Jill. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. So how would they know to search for this phrase if they didn't know something was already going on? Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Was there something in other documents that we don't see? Because I'm telling you guys, this amount of caseload is not 300 documents. We're missing hundreds, if not thousands of documents. I'm telling you, they're just giving us enough. So it could have been Lori, because that's the rumor. Is it something like OnlyFans? Was there an email attached to that? Could be. Could be. Yeah, I was chatting. I was eating dinner. Oh, gotcha. Didn't get to the internet. Okay, got it. So it could be, I mean, we're just speculating here because there is something that's missing. Totally something that's missing. Welcome to the nest if you just got in here. So in this document, it says that they have asked for the following search terms. And then they list Kaylee, Maddie, Madison, Xana, Ethan, DM, BF, and there's that infamous LM that's referenced in yet another document. 153 sequence LM. Who could that possibly be, guys? That's the big mysterious question. I'll share more about that in a little bit. So on November 26th, I asked a search warrant to be on redactedgoogle.com, and I applied. I was granted the serve the warrant for Moscow murders, murder in Moscow ID, murder in Moscow ID, Idaho crime, Moscow, Idaho stabbing, University of Idaho murders, and you can go on and read this. Getting blood out of clothing, how to get blood out of clothing, how getting blood out of a vehicle, how to get blood out of a vehicle. Okay, so Stop right there. Who in the world would search for these parameters if they were a criminology student already and knew most of this information? Thank you, Jill. That will help continue keep the website up. Shout out to Jill. Everyone thank Jill, because this is a community effort here. So if you think about it, who in the heck would search for these parameters? Remember the red Mustang that we had in this case that everybody was like, oh, that red Mustang smelled like bleach and it was abandoned and it may have been at the Linda Lane on the footage? Interesting. Yeah, I said that a while back. Where are Rosenthal's reports? He's mentioned in the reports, but yet you don't see any. So anyways, who in the heck would put DNA on knife? Who would search getting blood out of clothing, how to get blood out of clothing, getting blood out of a vehicle? What, they wouldn't even keep their clothing, right? I mean, think about it. So then he did the search warrant and via email to blah, blah, yada, yada. Okay. This was done, and I'm going to read this and preface this. Keep an open mind about this. This warrant specifically, this was done in an attempt to locate a suspect, possibly searching for the victims prior to the murder, potentially gaining information on these persons, their residence, their lifestyle, which could be located on social media. The searches after were done in an attempt to locate a suspect, possibly searching for information on the murders prior to the discovery of victims. So, who did this may have been searching before they even called 911. That is what the officer's intention were to find, the detectives, to find who was learning this information before it was announced publicly. Only the killer would know this, or someone connected to the killers. I was contacted by Google in regards to the warrants and informed the process of the searches were extremely complicated and large data rate, and they were problematic to their search inquiries. They stated they had to restart the process several times due to the complexity of the searches. Now, that's the response he got back from Google on December 1st. He never states in this report, nor any updated report, where this information came from. None whatsoever. And remember, this report was asked for on December 1st, but this report that they're giving the narrative was recorded on 2/22/23. So almost 2 months later, he puts in a report. And this doesn't say it's an updated report. There is no update. But then he goes on to say on December 19th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was identified as a possible suspect. Now, where did his name come from? Then, almost 2 months later, on February 15th, 2022, after talking with other investigators and conferring with the Latop prosecutor's office, it was decided to return the warrant without data, as the original broad scope of these warrants was to determine a potential suspect when none was known. New warrants specific to Kohberger's Gmail accounts, which include search history, has been requested. That was on February 15th. February 15th. And did they have any updated information? No. Absolutely not. So where in the world, how in the world did they get Bryan Kohberger's name? Now, I do remember an actual interview with Chief Gary Jenks, and he specifically remembers interviewing Kohberger for a position. Does anybody remember that? I do. There's a ghost in Kohberger's back seat in the latest traffic stop video. Scary. Interesting. So how did they even get Kohberger's name? We were told it was a lead from the FBI. But right here, it does say that it was determined by a few people. Right here in this paragraph. On February 15th, after talking with other investigators and conferring with the prosecutor's office, it was what? What? I'm confused. I'm so confused because this report says February 15th, 2022. Didn't this happen in 23, or is that just a clerical typo? Because that was like back in the previous January before the unalivings. It's got to be a typo. But they did talk with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, and it was decided to return the warrant without data, as the original broad scope of these warrants was determined a potential suspect. Was to determine a potential suspect when none was known. Then new warrants, and this was after he was arrested, new warrants specific to Kohberger's Gmail accounts, which can be included search history, have been requested. And guess who reviewed this document? Corporal Payne, badge 157. So tell me, Kohberger the fall guy? Prosecutors called him a killer, but others, they've called him a scapegoat. The inconsistencies are huge. The DNA, video footage, no murder weapon, no blood on Kohberger, nothing in his car, no connection, no contact whatsoever, no stalking, factually innocent, no motive. Wow. Oh, and don't forget the 99-year no contact order, the secret grand jury FBI involvement. And yet the state rushed to indict him. Defense says no due process. The public is divided, and the tides are turning. More people are seeing he is factually innocent. He's innocent. It's a setup. Trust Fry. The bigger picture, not only is Chief obviously well known and a hometown hero who got the killer, or is he a puppet in a cover-up bigger than we even know? Yeah, that's a good one, Caleb. No fight marks, no wound marks, nothing in any of the traffic stops. Do you see him cut or injured? Yeah, he's clean. He is. Fry's the puppet, or he's the puppet master. Which one? Yep. No fight. And is Bryan Kohberger really the monster, the trash bucket that someone claims? Oh, don't get me started there, guys. I'm so pissed off how someone can say they have such empathy for people, but then go on a rampage to call him different names and call him by his inmate number. How disgustingly of a human being do you have to be? I won't go on that rant, but I'm just saying. I mean, we have our conspiracies. And like I said, I put up a sign a long time ago. I'm just giving you the headline 6 months in advance. Bryan Kohberger, is he really the monster or the trash bucket that people say he is? Or is he simply a pawn in a game of public trust, political pressure, and viral justice? Because honestly, they needed somebody, and they needed somebody quick, because they weren't going to go out on the news and say, oh my God, it could be our own in our own community. What a big scandal that would be. What a big, huge loss of income that would be for the university. Alleged. I'm just saying. You decide. You decide, the fry guy or the fall guy. Drop your theory in the comments. Was justice served, or was somebody served up? Like, comment, subscribe. It's free. Donate to keep our website going, to spread the truth so more people will open their eyes. Easily searchable through the PDF. Fry guy versus the fall guy. Who was really guilty in the Kohberger case? Now, if you're ready to question everything you thought you knew about the Idaho 4 case, this is the video you want to share. This will dive into this battle between Moscow police chief and James Fry and the so-called, what I call the Fry guy, because they wanted to see Kohberger fry. And people believe he is guilty without a trial. Missing evidence, shaky timeline in a community that's silent, but they are demanding answers silently. The cracks in this case are impossible to ignore, guys. It's huge. I'm sharing raw facts, theories the mainstream media will not touch, except for some are touching it now. I've seen some videos left and right. Kohberger's innocent, guys. I know you guys are tagging me, and I think it's amazing. I want people to look more into the documents and the facts. If you're into true crime with the twist, if you're ready to follow along with somebody who thinks the unthinkable, you found the right stream. I'm not afraid to dig deeper, so hit that subscribe button, guys. You won't want to miss anything coming next. I appreciate every single one of you that has joined on the stream, that has donated for this website to stay up. We have got to share this more. You have a resource. Share the website. Share your details. Share facts. Leave the emotion out of your comments that you're responding to on others that still don't believe or don't know. Our job is to help educate them and point them to where they can find the facts for themselves. Because that little human instinct of curiosity in us will have them drive to the website to see for themselves. Keep an eye on the website. It will be updated this afternoon with some amazing resources, you guys. Binge away, share away. People need to know. I've been on this side of YouTube in social media for 2 weeks. You guys have been amazing. You know, I over on the TikTok, I have about 35,000 and rising. I've been around for a while on the TikTok streets. The YouTube streets are new. I'm really enjoying it here. And don't miss the live with Birdie tonight. We were co-hosting on TikTok for a long time. We talk about all kinds of thought processes and theories that have narrowed us to what we believe is the actual true theory. So don't miss Birdie. If you're of the hive and in the nest, you are flying with birds that flock together. And as I always say, have a happy Sunday. Be well until the next stream. And make sure you do have subscribe to all so that you'll know when I'm live, and all my lives are scheduled. Unless I drop a video here or there that's pre-recorded. Look out for those too. As always, y'all be well. Phoenix out.